Welcome back, and thanks for listening to Safe Retirement Strategies. I'm Bob Lindquist, your guest. I'm not a guest. I'm your host. Every Wednesday afternoon except the last Wednesday of each month, and we talk about for an hour from 1 to 2 p.m. every Wednesday afternoon, we talk about protecting your life savings. Remember, folks, it never goes backwards. We protect it. We guarantee you that your life savings will be whole. It's never at risk. And then we grow that, and we guarantee that you'll never be exposed to losses in the stock market. That money only grows, and when the market falls off, you get a zero credit for the year. You don't go 20% backwards like your next-door neighbor will. And then finally, once we've protected it, and when it continues to grow, we get you in a position one day where you have an income for the rest of your life. Can you imagine the freedom, if you just visualize this, of how much differently we could live when we know that a check is going to arrive at our doorstep at the first of every month for the rest of our life? I mentioned earlier in the program today that a lady was being interviewed, and she had talked with a financial guy that talked her out of $356,000 of her life savings. And when all was said and done, it didn't work out, and he wasn't nearly as big a deal as he said he was, and he ended up in jail, and she ended up with no money. And the one comment that struck a nerve with me, just this morning, I'm watching one of the news programs, and she talked about he took away her freedom. And that just resonated with me. He took away her freedom to make choices, to do planning, and that all begins with a check that arrives at your doorstep the first of each month. And, while we're working and we've got a good relationship with our employer and we're meaningful, we do good work, we feel pretty good about our job, we're pretty confident that a check is going to show up every 2 weeks. We can plan on that. We can live our life. Well, when we retire, that paycheck stops, and we need to find something to replace that paycheck. And we can't afford for that to stop. Our life goes on. In fact, we're living longer than we've ever lived before, and we need income. Everything begins with income. Consistent, steady income that goes on forever. And that's what we do with our planning and in our practice. And I sit down and visit with folks all the time, and we start out with conversation. And the simple phone number to call to get this started for you and your family so you can do some really good, solid planning that will free you, that will give you the freedom that you deserve. Call our number anytime, 913-814-9600. And I mentioned to you at the beginning of the show, I was going to give you an example of a lifetime income that I just got finished talking about. And so let's talk about our stuff. And our stuff is protecting your life savings from the risk of the stock market. It's just that simple. And positioning yourself and your family for a lifetime of income. And then I'm going to put an exclamation point on the end of that comment by saying, and it's guaranteed. We guarantee to be able to do that. Let me give you an example of the type of planning we're doing for a lot of folks. I was asked by a man the other day, he was 60 years of age, what to do with his retirement savings. And he's done, by the way, this man has done very well in his business. And he always had a goal. He always wanted to put aside one number, and this $1 million was his goal. That was his number. He was going to be good if he could. That was his goal. The time had come where this man at age 60 had reached his goal. He was very successful. He'd done good work. He'd been dedicated, and he had his $1 million. And he was so protective of that goal, that $1 million. this man stressed to us every time I visited with him on the phone just how protective he was of this savings piece, this $1 million. And he also thought he could probably work for a couple more years, but he wanted absolutely to call it quits in 2 years. He'd gotten to his goal. He didn't want to go backwards. He wanted it to grow. And he wanted to stop and slow down and smell the roses in 2 years. This is exactly what we were able to do for this man. And it can also be done for each and every one of you listeners. Just one comment I'm going to make. What is fair to me in our dealings with people is that these companies really don't care if you're the president of a corporation and you've got $1 million, or if you're just Joe Blow working and taking a lunch bucket to work and doing the best job you know how to do for this employer. They don't care. The plans that we use, the strategies that we use, work for that $1 million guy, and they work for a $10,000 guy as well. These companies don't care. This is just money we're talking about, and it's safe money. And everybody who has their story, who has their life, they're all treated exactly the same way. So let's get back to our 60-year-old guy. He's got his $1 million. He wants to be completely shut down in 2 years. And this is what we guarantee. We guarantee him in our strategies, and I go to a bunch of different companies, whatever your needs are, we address those needs, and we kind of design your plans to your specific needs. But he's going to get a 10% bonus, upfront bonus on his $1 million. And he's also going to get a 10% bonus on his income account. Now, his income account is not cash. It spits out a formula that one of these days down the road will spit out a stream of cash that will go on forever. But his $1 million is his cash account. That gets a 10% bonus. And this, what we call an income account, gets the same 10% bonus plus a 5% bonus on top. So what happens is at the end of 2 years, I can guarantee to this man that his cash account's going to have $1 million plus 10%. It's going to have $1.1 million for certain. His income account is going to have, at the end of 2 years, is going to have $1 million plus the 10% bonus plus the 5% bonus plus 2 years of 4% compounding on top of that. His income account is going to have, and this is guaranteed in the contract, it's going to have $1,201,200 in it at his attained age 62. There is a guaranteed withdrawal rate at age 62 that's 5%. So what we do is this man comes back to me and says, okay, Bob, I transferred over $1 million, and at age 62, I can tell him in 2 years, this is exactly what you're going to have. You're going to get 5% times your $1,201,200. It is equivalent to $60,000 a year of income, guaranteed income for the rest of his life. And when this man started talking to me, never in his wildest imagination did he think in 2 short years he could be guaranteed a 6% return on his principal that absolutely grew. A 6% return on his principal of $1 million, and we could guarantee that for his lifetime. You know what's interesting to me is if in 2 years he decided, you know what, I'm still healthy, I'm still doing pretty darn well, maybe I don't need that much money. Maybe I don't need any income at all. I'm going to work for 3 more years. Just I like my work. I'm starting to like it. Things have changed a little bit. I'm doing fine. As long as I'm healthy, I'm going to continue to work. What's interesting to me, if this man waited until age 65 instead of age 62, just 3 short years later, his income account would continue to compound 4% for those 3 more years. That's guaranteed to have happen. And at age 65, his income wouldn't be $60,000. It would be $74,316 for the rest of his life. So, folks, my point in bringing this up is when you talk to the financial world and all the articles they mention, whatever your principle is, we're hoping that 4% times that principle on $1 million, 4% would spit out $40,000 a year of income. And we hope, based on volatility and so forth, and based on the past, we hope that that income would last for the rest of your life. It may go away because if the market falls off for a number of years consecutively, and we continue to pay you that $40,000, you're probably going to run out of money. But we're trying to be a little conservative, and maybe 4% might last for the rest of your life on your principal of $1 million without ever running out of money. But we can guarantee that 5.5% to 6%, and that word guarantee, we throw that around all the time. That word guarantee, I use it all the time, and probably I don't respect it as much as I should. But the fact is, the income never stops. And your money never stops growing until you start accessing that income. This kind of guaranteed planning is done every day in my office. And I welcome you to make a phone call so we can find out exactly how best you can benefit from these safe, guaranteed strategies. The telephone number, 913-814-9600. Call our office anytime. Love to visit with you. I have to tell you that it really feels good being able to give you only guarantees in our conversation. In this crazy economy that we live in today, there's only uncertainty out there. And I can give you that peace of mind and that freedom that this lady talked about this morning that was taken away from her because her investments didn't work. I can guarantee you that that doesn't happen to you and your family. And that's an ironclad guarantee backed by huge insurance companies that make these promises that have been in business for hundreds and hundreds of years. And what's interesting to me, and this comment has struck a nerve with me for years now, I can guarantee you that insurance company is going to be around a whole lot longer than you and I are going to be around. And that gives me peace of mind to be able to tell you that on this program. Hang in there with us. We got one more segment. Appreciate you listening to us. We'll be right back.